Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching Improve It, a home improvement industry podcast focused on the things that you want to hear about. I'm really excited about today's conversation. I've got a gentleman with me here today that I've known for quite some time. And our conversation today is going to be pretty unique. It's out of the box. I've really been excited about it for some time. Sometimes it's hard to get folks nailed down where we can get together. But today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about at a point in your career when, hey, you know it's time to make a change. Maybe you've got a compelling offer in front of you. Maybe there's something on the table. There's something different, but it's different than anything you've ever done. What does it take to really step out on that ledge and do something different than you've ever done that's completely out of your comfort zone? Well, let's dive in and let's talk about it today. I've got a gentleman named Dave Wilson. Dave, thank you for being here today.
Appreciate it. An honor.
Well, great. So let's dive right in. Now, we've known each other some time, right? We met, maybe, I don't know, nearly 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But a number of years ago, you had gotten into a great spot in your career, right? So tell me a little bit about you, a little bit about your story, but let's really focus in on 5 or 6 years ago where you made a pretty significant shift.
I had, and thanks for having me today. I really like watching the videos and the podcast that you put out. I had gotten into sales right out of high school. So I've been doing this about 40 years now, and found myself in about 2018, had an opportunity to go to work for a very large John Deere dealership in Texas. And came in and just came in as a sales guy to begin with and worked my way up to store manager, and then was able to launch an online team with the help of about 3 other individuals. And that led to becoming a corporate trainer for that company. So it was a completely different step for me, something I'd always kind of dreamed of having. And so to have that opportunity was pretty amazing. Responsible for about 120 salespeople's training for sales. And then I eventually got involved in the parts training as well for those salespeople.
Okay. Well, I know quite a few people still in that industry, and just getting around the fringe and talking to folks, some of the things that you did in that time are talked about today. They're still used today. There's an impact, in not just that particular company, but other companies today with training models. So it seems like that, hey, that was going pretty well. You were no rookie to sales, right? And I know, from what I know about you, that you have a passion for teaching and coaching. What in the world compels someone when maybe seemingly you've got it all together, you've got a dream job? How do you get out of that comfort zone and do something completely different?
Well, it kind of came about unexpectedly, and I think that's most of the great ventures in life come along. It's not really something you plan sometimes. An offer is presented to you. I had a very generous offer presented to get into the home improvement industry, that space, and the part that really excited me was I want to be in leadership, and I'd never been at that level of leadership as far as like leading an entire division of a company. But the fact that I could still train my reps every single day. When I hired them after they went to the initial training, we did training literally every day. So I was able to touch lives in a way I never thought I could. In a big corporate setting, you have some one-on-one interactions, but basically it's a corporate type deal to where you got a big group and they're all talking and you're trying to train the mass as opposed to the individuals. So when I had the opportunity to come and move into this space, and it gave me the opportunity at that point to work with an individual, say 7:30, 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, and overcome an objection that they couldn't overcome that weekend, and then see them go out on Monday afternoon and close a deal or two using the same techniques that we had just done, and watched how it actually changed their family, where they're taking vacations in places they've never taken them before. Able to buy a home or able to buy a car, able to do for their family, their kids, put them in travel ball if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. So it was a different type. I tell people it's a different kind of currency when you're training at that level, because you see the effect immediately, like literally within a couple of hours, you can actually see that put into place.
What's your greatest resource in business? What's the largest challenge your organization faces? Well, I can tell you from experience, it's people. The home improvement industry is challenging. Sometimes it's hard to find the right people It's very difficult to find people as skilled as you need them. You need a partner that can help, and that's Bricks Recruiting. Whether you need senior level management, whether you need sales reps, whether you're in building, whether you're in roofing, any element in the home improvement industry. If you need staffing, if you need leadership, you need Bricks.
Yeah, David, it would seem to me like if you're in a corporate training setting, that yeah, maybe you get to read the headlines, you get to hear every once in a while a success story, what somebody's done, maybe see them on the leaderboard, that sort of thing. But you're mostly training people that you just send off to someone else,
Yeah.
right? And then what happens after then? Hey, you've done your part, but now it's up to someone else. With what you're talking about now, it's more of a a continual touch, handling, interaction, day to day, and you have the ability to not just get someone off maybe on the right start, but you have the ability to get them on that right start and then have corrective action, for maybe even years, as long as they're on your team.
There's a coaching aspect that, you get them through kind of the basic training, if you will. And then when they're trying to get their career launched, you're there with them, in first grade, second grade, third grade, and you can take them all the way through college at that. So as they take your techniques and take your training to heart, you're able to build upon that. So you've got a sales rep that's capable of doing X one year. Well, he can do X, Y, Z the next year because he or she has adopted that and it's become who they are. It's
Sure.
not something that they do. And to watch that on a daily basis, one-on-one in my office was a great feeling.
And it's fun, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's fun to see, to see your influence and your impact make a continuing impact on someone else. What when you look at that former life, pre 2023, for instance, in corporate training, then versus more of a leadership role where you're training people in all types of different roles, not just one dialed in specific role. What's kind of the most fun to you about both of those?
Well, in a corporate setting is watching the group dynamics, bringing a group together within a 2-week setting and watching them start helping one another and developing alliances and people bringing their experience. Because you have a lot of people that come from one brand to another brand
Mm-hmm.
in the same industry. And, we would have a ride and drive day, for instance, and you have someone that's very familiar with a particular product line that was a competitor to us and have them step up in front of the class for 8 to 10 minutes and really tell you what was good, what was bad, and how to sell against that or how to position your product better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fun, but it's a different type of thing than, because you're right. You look at reports, you look at growth patterns. We were selling at this level and now the group is selling at this level. And you always got 2 or 3 rock stars that come through in a class of 15 or 18 people and they kind of lead the pack. And those are fun to watch. It's the people that kind of come in as underperformers that you see really do more than they can do by themselves. And that's fun. And I think that's where the personal touch comes on that day-to-day basis when you're working with just a few individuals, 10 or less in your office every day, or you're building a team and watching them become more than they could be if you weren't investing into them. And I tell them, I've been doing this 40 years. I'm going to give you a 25-year head start. I'm going to tell you every way that doesn't work, we're just going to avoid those.
Yep.
And it's fun to watch.
So both very fun. So, but with having great success and having that program implemented on what's become a gigantic organization across the United States and going all over the place, right? Kind of gobbling up much of a certain segment of that industry today. What when that appears to in a way be the dream job, what are the motivators that make you walk away from something like that to do something? Yes, it's still sales based, but I know some people say all the time, "Oh, selling. If you can sell this, you can sell." But that's not always true. Okay?
Well, the opportunity to run a branch, meaning you're responsible for the P&L, to where you get to make decisions that affect the end result. I had never had that level of responsibility before. It's smaller level maybe, but to where you got a P&L at the end of the month and you had to defend that. And you had to defend that based on your sales and based on your advertising and based on decisions you make from an expense side. And to have that type of impact, for me, it was just a challenge. When you get really, really good at something, you can just kind of put it on autopilot.
Yeah. Was it a a long debate, like a back and forth? Yeah, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not. Oh, I might. And what does that look like? How do you process that from, hey, I'm in a good place in my career. I'm succeeding. In fact, I'm excelling above my peers, to, hey, I'm going to do something different that possibly I might not have the same result. Right? I mean, what are the emotions involved with making that type of decision?
Yeah, I think anytime, there's a football coach from where I'm from in Georgia. His name is Larry Campbell. He's won 10 state championships in about 38 years. And he said his biggest regret was staying at the one school for his entire career. He always wondered, he wanted to go to Elbert County and see if he could duplicate that success somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was about I had a proven sales system. I knew it worked. And it's something I didn't learn in a book. I learned it from paying my bills for 40 years. And so I just wanted to test that in another type of market, and the perfect opportunity came along. And honestly, it didn't take me very long. I trust my gut on decisions, and I spoke with my family, and they said pretty much do what makes you happy. And we took the leap. And I got to be honest with you, it's one of the best decisions I ever made. And yet there's some concern, obviously, because you want to excel, particularly when you are at the top of the heap, so to speak, when you're the hunter or the hunted. But for me, it was like, let's go do this again. And there's a guy I follow online by the name of Brandon Bouchard, and he has a statement that I love about confidence. He goes, confidence doesn't mean you know how to do it. And confidence may not mean you've ever done it before, but it means you believe in your ability to figure it out. And I believed in my ability to figure it out, and was able to leverage that and had great success.
Your home has a beautiful covered patio. You've got this great outdoor kitchen. You have this dining area. You have a chase lounge. You've got the flat screen TV on the wall, and you use it one day a week. Why? Well, in the spring of the year, it's because of the pollen. In the summer, it's because the sun's too bright. At certain times of day, it's because of the nosy neighbor, or maybe the mosquitoes are too bad. Well, there's a company out there that can solve those problems for you, and that's Shade Doctor LLC, the only source for the exclusive X-ray product in all of the United States. Whether you're in the Southeast, whether you're in the Midwest, whether you're along the panhandle of Florida, it doesn't matter. Shade Doctor can take care of your patio.
Okay. Well, that's a really cool story, and obviously, when you have big decisions like that, how big of an impact or an influencer it is to have your circle, whether it's a spouse, whether it's children, whether it's, friends or family, how big is it that those around you think you can do it too, or maybe support you, or also how big of a detractor could it be if they say, no, you need to stay here. You're doing good. You don't, don't risk. Because some people are adverse to risk, right? They're like, hey, like maybe that football coach, maybe looking at his career backwards, he's like, all those years I've got it good. I'm not messing this up. But that you don't worry about the things, after the fact that you didn't do, or that you did do. You worry about more of the things you didn't take advantage of.
Yeah, I didn't want to lay on my deathbed and wonder what if. And that's the way I've lived my entire life, whether it's sports or business or my personal. I may say there's some things I probably shouldn't have done, but I will not be the guy that says, I wish I would have tried that. I wish I would have attempted that. Because I know a lot of people that do that. They get to the end of their career, or they get to a point to where they can't afford to take that chance.
Yeah.
Either financially or emotionally. And I was fortunate. I had some good people. I had some detractors in my circle. I got to be honest with you. And what you got to do is you got to be able to lay in that bed at 2:00 in the morning all by yourself with your thoughts in the pitch black dark and say, I believe this is the right thing to do, and commit 100%, go all in. Don't go in with a backup plan. Don't say, well, if it doesn't work, I can fall back to this. Just say, I'm doing this. I'm jumping off the 10-meter board, and we're going to either cannonball in or I'm going to pencil straight in. But either way, it's going to be spectacular, and go for it.
And that's an awesome story, because and it's not like you did this in your 20s or 30s or even 40s. Right. So how much does age come into it? I mean, neither one of us are as young as we used to be. You got a few years on me.
Yeah.
Okay. You got about 10 years on me. But how does being in your, you know, early to middle 50s
Mm-hmm.
influence making a change like that? Or how did it for you? How did it for you?
For me, any decision I've ever made has always been based on my mindset. And I had to get out of my own brain, because we all have this vision of ourselves that we kind of superimpose upon our lives. And that's the way it should be. And if I do this and I end up with that, I've been successful. And I think the hardest thing for people to do is get rid of the picture that's in their brain of what success looks like. And sometimes when you open your mind to expansion, you can receive rewards and benefits that you never even considered possible, because you were so in the box. And I think thinking outside the box and letting go of what you thought a career should look like, because a lot of times it doesn't end up the way you start. In fact, the most interesting lives you've ever seen are because things happen. Richard Branson, who started Virgin Airlines, because he's trying to impress a girl at the airport, and the flight got canceled. He was going to take her to the Virgin Islands and ask her to marry him, and couldn't get a flight. And so he went around and booked a charter and sold tickets in the airport to people who got kicked off the previous flight with him. Got that going, and from that he launched the empire, the Virgin Empire, with the music and everything else. So he didn't like what he was seeing at the moment, or thought he could do better. So he just took and rolled the dice.
Do you need to take your outdoor living to the next level? Do you want a different, unique structure that not everyone has? You need to check out a louvered roof pergola, custom built by Innovative Outdoor in Fort Worth, Texas. So regardless of whether you have an existing covered patio attached to your home, maybe you've got that structure by your pool, maybe you've got that structure in a great outdoor living area that you need more coverage and protection from the sun above. Check out a louvered roof pergola from Innovative Outdoor. Call my friend Andy, and he will take care of you.
So, 5 years post that decision to make a shift, very successful career, different element coming into the home improvement industry. Now you were kind of in the home improvement industry. You're selling a tool, effectively equipment that
Sure.
people improve their property with.
Sure.
Not the mainline segment,
Right.
but coming into home improvement, windows, doors, in-home selling, building teams, branch model that a lot of us are part of. Is overall, do you think it's been a great decision?
110% was the way to go. It's led to meeting some great people, people that I call friends, and people that I call partners even today. That if I'm in the middle of something, I can call and get life advice, or get business advice, or just call it as we've done with one another from time to time, and just say, hey man, I need to vent. And I don't think if I didn't take that risk, if I had stayed safe, I don't think I would have had that network that I have now.
What do you think? This is kind of an interesting question. It's a two-part question. What is the thing that you learned in this 5 year with the career shift and taking that risk that was different than you thought it would be? Meaning, oh, that's different, or that's more than I anticipated. And maybe what's the thing that wasn't as different?
The sales wasn't different. Selling is selling. I mean, you hire good people, and you train them to the best of your ability. You pay them the most you can, and you just turn them loose, and then help guide them. I don't like the term manage. I like the term lead, which you lead from the front, and you're out there with them every single day. Taking a swing at the ball, and trying to hit a single, double, or maybe even a home run from time to time. The thing that I guess would have been different is leading feels different. I mean, there's a lot of stress when you're a leader, because you feel really responsible for your employees. And when things happen, even in their personal life, you have this urgency to, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. And for years, I was like a hired gun. I just looked after me. I mean, that's what I made as much as I could, sold as much as I could. Didn't have to worry about anyone else. But when you're the shepherd of a group of people, it weighs on you differently than I thought it would. Yeah. So not in a bad way, just in a different way.
And I've seen this in industry, and it's funny how sometimes people gravitate toward extremes, because there are people in our space in this industry that take that approach, that those things bother them, that like, hey, I'm worried about so-and-so on my team. They've had a rough couple months and they haven't sold as much, and their income's down, and maybe they're struggling, and that keeps people up at night. But then unfortunately, you seem like you have the other kind of folks that they just care about nothing. They let nothing bother them. Hey, that's their problem. They need to figure it out. In your estimation, which of those two mindsets have the most success?
I can tell you which one I've had most personal success with. It's about caring about your people. You build your people, you build them, and they build your business for you. I'm not saying one is right. I think you have to go with how God wired you. But I truly believe when you bring people into your work family, you need to treat them as close to family as you can while still staying professional. That doesn't mean loaning them money, but it means saying a prayer for them or just being a shoulder to cry on sometimes, giving them the extra encouragement. The key is finding out how they best receive encouragement. And for some people, it's making more money. For some people, it's word of mouth. For some people, it's an award, visibility, recognition.
Yeah.
And you just guide people that way.
Anything over the past 5 years since you've come into this segment of the industry that you would like to have a mulligan over? You'd like to do differently?
Probably would have gotten the business sooner. It's a fantastic space, the home improvement space. It's never going to go away. AI is never going to take it over. It's a place that you can make a really good living for you and your family, and you can help your team earn a really good living as well.
Do you need to scale your business? Do you need to get your products and services in front of the right customers? Maybe you need to build a new website. Maybe you need a very creative Google ad strategy or SEO built in behind your website. Well, if you need to take your business to the next level, you need to call my friend Billy with Grow Marketing in San Antonio, Texas.
Look, I told somebody just the other day that done a number of things in my career, but if some way magically I could flip a switch, I would have walked out of my high school graduation, and in the heyday, I would have gone and found Champion Window, or I've gone and found one of these companies that I work with 25 years later, and I would have started then.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. It's taught me so much. It's aside from the Lord, my family, all those sort of things, it's blessed my life. And one of the chief ways that's blessed my life is it's enhanced it with additional core relationships of great people, and that's something that you mentioned, and it's great to have multiple layers and stops along the way, because you do meet people and you do make connections that last from the starting point and go on and on and on, and that's great.
Yeah, I work with a lot of great leaders in my life, and I work with some that aren't, and you'll learn lessons from all of them.
Yeah.
But I think taking some chances and trying different things. I don't know if this is, if my kid came to me, and I have two daughters that are grown and they're through school and got their careers in place, I would not have told them this is the way for them to go. Their careers are a little more structured and needed the education. But if you got a kid coming out of school and they've got the ability to communicate well, and they're not really focused on maybe formal education right off the bat, I would encourage them to take a good look at some type of sales. It's a great way to make a fantastic living without investing $100,000 to $150,000 in an education student loan.
No, look, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Last major question. You mentioned working with a lot of great leaders. If you could kind of pick one thing from the leaders that you've worked with in this segment over the last 5 or 6 years, what's the biggest thing? You don't have to call any names. I mean, you may tell the topic, and whoever's listening, that they know, oh, that's me, right? But what's the biggest thing that's probably made the impact on you in those 5 years, but will also carry on in the next 10 or 15 years, or however long you choose to work?
I think the biggest one is believe in yourself. I mean, make your plan, put your head down, and tell yourself until somebody shows you a better way, this is how you're going to do it. Buy completely into what it is you're doing. Okay. And it doesn't mean you don't take encouragement from people or you don't take instruction from people, but make your mind up how you're going to do it. Be able to defend your decision, a good business decision, and go for it until either that works, it doesn't work, or you find a better way.
That's awesome, Dave. Look, thank you for being, and to our audience, look. Again, whoever's watching, wherever you are, whether you're early in your career, middle in your career, maybe a little later in your career, don't be afraid to bet on yourself. because I can guarantee you, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.